Hello and welcome to Open Line. I'm Jolene DeVito. There's a lot of interest in bringing new development to Heritage Crossing in South Irving, but what is it going to take to make it happen? Viewers were invited to submit questions via email and social media, and we'll be getting those answered throughout the show. Our guests today, City of Irving Chief Development Officer Doug Janeway and Heritage Crossing Planning Manager Kevin Kass. Gentlemen, thank you both very much for being here.
Thank you.
Doug, let me start with you, and just starting with the simple question. When we talk about Heritage Crossing, for those who might not be familiar with it, what is it?
Well, Heritage Crossing is an area in Irving, and it's an old downtown area where Irving started. And so the City Council a number of years ago identified this as an area, of course through feedback from the citizens and through some committees, that this is an area we want to focus on to revitalize, bring back to its former glory, recognize and celebrate Irving's history. We also have a lot of infrastructure in this part of town as far as mass transit. We have the Trinity Rail Express, which runs through Irving downtown, connects downtown Fort Worth with downtown Dallas, several stops in between. And so these things are all catalysts for redevelopment for this area. And so it's certainly a large focus of the City of Irving for several years now to help this area revitalize.
I'm going to ask you the same question, Kevin, in just a moment. Doug, exactly what is your role in the project? And I'd like to know yours as well, Kevin.
Sure. My primary focus is real estate. We, over the last several years, the City of Irving has accumulated a number of properties, probably about 48 acres of land in and around the downtown area. And so it's about 85 different tracts of land. We put that together in a land banking effort to help us revitalize this area. And so we want to leverage the properties that we own to bring that revitalization down to the downtown area.
Kevin, your role in the project?
My role is working with a consultant we have on board that helped us back in January through our visioning process. And what we're focused on right now is getting the environment ready for new development. And what that includes is looking at how the downtown streets operate, how the properties are all set up, how do we get the environment ready to invite new developers to come in. A lot of it has to do with the appearance downtown, redoing the streetscape, like you've maybe seen in some other communities, just to really overall enhance the appearance of the downtown area.
We have a consultant helping out with the project as well. Doug, tell us about that partnership and how it works and why it's a good one for the City of Irving and Heritage Crossing.
Sure. We have an opportunity to work with our citizens in the downtown area, and so we've gone through a number of relationships and with different partners, I guess you would say. Through Kevin's work, actually, we've partnered with Greenway Consulting, I think that's who you're talking about,
yes.
With us, and they have really helped us to do some focus presentations, some outreach. They're helping us with the implementation. You know, done a lot of studies and plans. Greenway Consulting is actually helping us do the implementation. So. I'll say Kevin is most familiar with the details of the Gateway workings, but they certainly have helped us. They are kind of a catalyst group for us to help us spark this redevelopment effort. And so I will say that Gateway is helping us. I will also say that the market appears to be coming back. Read the newspapers, there's positive news all the time. Irving's a great place to be, a great place to live, a great place to develop. And so we are certainly benefiting from that positive market activity. We get a lot of phone calls, a lot of interest in our area. I think the citizens would be very, I don't say shocked, but they'd be very pleased with the amount of interest that's been shown in our downtown area recently. And certainly Gateway Planning is a great group. They've got a great history with helping downtowns. They've had work, and Kevin go into detail with McKinney, Roanoke, and those kinds of areas. And so very good reputation and done a great job in helping us identify kind of the next steps to take.
Kevin, let me ask you more about Greenway. Exactly what do they do and some of their success stories perhaps in other cities?
We went looking nationwide, just cursory review, trying to find out which firms actually have proven success in small market areas. And we came upon Gateway. We didn't have to go very far. They came to us from the Fort Worth area. And when we brought them on board, their expertise is that they are a small, focused firm, and they really understand the client, what our needs are, and they're really engaged with the public. And that's where they really helped us back in January when we first brought them on board, was bringing the community back on board, engaged in the process. And now the next focus is on the actual implementation of those different elements we spoke out earlier, like the streetscape, the building appearance, and how to put the financing together to pay for those.
This relationship, how is it different than past efforts in Irving at redevelopment?
What we found refreshing about Gateway is they brought a whole different perspective on how to look at things in terms of downtown redevelopment. In the past, we had this mindset of we need to do this, this, and this, and they just opened our eyes. I mean, I'll just give you for example, we were initially trying to go out and bring outside investors in the area initially, and they said, no, the first thing you need to do is have the local community invest in the projects. Bring their dollar, bring their expertise. They know the area, they know what'll work. Once those people are brought on board, do some projects, have success, that's what leads to outside investors being drawn into your project.
When the consultant, Gateway, was first hired, there was an initial period of public input where residents and business owners could be a part of the process. Not that they can't still at this point, but take me back to that part of the process, and what did you learn? I'll start with you, Doug. What did you learn through that has gotten us to where we are today?
Well, I do know one of the things I have learned is that we have some very passionate people in our downtown area, and so, that's one of the things you hope for, is to have people who care and who want to put input, have input, and want to be part of the process. And so, what we've learned is that we really needed to embrace that, and really needed to bring those people on board as part of the process, get their input, let them help shape what the plan is. And really pay attention to all that and make sure that the wishes and the desires of the people who are, I'm going to say, are the investors in that area, who live every day, they have investment, personal investment, they spend their time, energy, and efforts in that area, and they care a lot, and so we need to pay attention to that and incorporate that. So that's one of the great things that Gateway helped us do, is to better recognize that, better listen to our customers out there, and better incorporate what they want to do into our downtown area.
Kevin, what specifically were some of the issues, ideas, hopes, and dreams that they were most passionate about?
A lot of it had to do with preserving the character of the downtown area, respecting the scale of the buildings down there, the types of industries or businesses that we have in the downtown area, but they also knew that we had to improve the overall appearance of our downtown area if we're going to be successful. They also brought to the forefront again the wonderful opportunity we have with the train down there. Once again, as Doug said earlier, we're the only downtown stop between Dallas and Fort Worth, and how to build upon that as a transit-oriented development type setup. We also have the Irving Boulevard corridor. They mentioned we need to take advantage of that as well. That's been a dynamic core going through that area, for a number of years. And how do we pull all that together? And what Gateway also did for us, they took the time to listen to what people really had to say and hear what they had to say, and bring those back in the different ideas that people embraced as we concluded that first engagement with them. We've
seen a lot of development with fast food restaurants and banks, and anything recent, and what's on the horizon?
Well, we have had some success with concerning our fast food restaurants. We've had, certainly McDonald's tore down a perfectly good restaurant a few years ago, rebuilt it, several $1 million. Their business did increase. I know they had to hire additional workers. It was so
That's
successful.
a good problem to have.
Absolutely. They had to go out and find extra parking just to have their workers have a place to park. Burger King came in, and the old Arby's closed down. They took that site, rebuilt a brand new facility. It looks great. But it's not only fast food. We also had some local investors, JPT Graphics. They've been a great partner in the city of Irving, and they've done next door to the Burger King. Actually took an older building, redid it, repainted it, refurbished it, and that's exactly the kind of development we want to see, is taking those old buildings like that and redoing those. The ones we had, the vacant tracts that we have acquired, the city's acquired, obviously those will have to be new buildings. When those buildings get built, they're going to be according to what the vision that the city council and the citizens have reviewed, looked at, approved, adopted, which is something we did back in the early stages over the last couple of years. And so it's basically preserving that downtown feel, creating that downtown walkability, connectivity to the train station, and also incorporating all the things that you see the downtowns are famous for, with the storefronts and the closeness and the warm feel of a downtown. And so that's the atmosphere or the environment that we want to develop in. And so I just answered a call this morning, as a matter of fact, sent a number of surveys to a developer. He's looking at putting together some plans to maybe present to us to see what can he do. He sees the opportunity. And so we have, besides the interest we're getting, we've also actually offered out several tracts of land for bids, actually. And so we, back in April and May, the city accepted bids on 2 separate packages. One package was for about 20 acres of residential land that we own down by 6th Street and the park. And so what we've done there is we've got those bids in right now. We're evaluating them right now, and we're going to look at that. And what we're going to do is create, and this is part of the bid package, is create a neighborhood in that area, which right now is just vacant land. And so you've got a wonderful amenity of the park and the trails and the little log cabin, if you're familiar with the log cabin down there. We have a brand new library being built just up the lake from where this 20 acres is located. And so we're going to take that land, create some new investment in that area, bring in some new families. Ownership is an important factor in there. So you have owner occupants, you have wonderful housing, and those people will feed into the downtown. You're going to leverage the downtown, and that's going to be a very, I'm looking forward to that. That's the exciting part of what we do. And so
now, how far along on the drawing board are we in this process? Back up. I'm so intrigued now. I want to make sure I realize where you are in the process with that one.
Sure. We have received bids.
Okay.
Formally taken bids from interested parties. We did receive those bids. Right now, the contents of the bids are still confidential while we go through them and evaluate them. And so we are currently working through those packages and making sure that they meet the criteria we set up. So one of the things we focused on, and this is again through our input from the citizens, is that they, certainly we have an asset downtown where we have the land. Okay, that's invested. And so what we wanted to do was leverage that asset to create interest and development. And so when we set up the bid packages for this land, the criteria was 20% of that only was the price. The other 80% or so was really, what do you plan to do with it? How do you plan to develop it? How will it tie into the public parks? How will it create open spaces? How will it do all the things you want to see happen? So you can see there's a huge interest on our part, the city's part, to get that development going, not focusing on necessarily any profits you might make, but more of creating that atmosphere, that development,
Is this
that
getting
interest.
us big picture where we want to go for Heritage Crossing?
Absolutely. You've got to get that movement going forward. Things don't start, you're not going to make your profit on that first developer. You've got to get that interest going. Yeah. Now, certainly we went through several years before this of clearing some properties off, getting some older improvements off the ground.
Yeah, it doesn't happen overnight.
We had some transmission shops we tore down, things like that in old downtowns that really needed to go. And so now that we have a little bit more of a clean plate on some of these tracks, then this is going to give us an opportunity to bring in that new interest, that new development that we need. The other part is that when you have a development, it's always tough to get that first person in there because there's no market basis for them. They've got to get a loan. They've got to get people interested. You've got to have builders that'll build. And so you've got to start somewhere. And so you have to provide those opportunities, I believe, through what we have in our land bank. And it's given us a great opportunity. And we know that we have the bidders. They're very well known. And so these are people that are capitalized. They can do the job. So it's not something where we're going to wonder if they can deliver the product or not. They can do it. And so that's what's really exciting for us is we do have a real partner in the mix. And so we're excited moving forward. So we should see something coming up in the next several months. We'll review that with our Planning and Development Committee of the City Council to go forward. We'll get input from the citizens, further input. We have some public meetings scheduled. We'll have some scheduled to have people review those plans to make sure it's a collaborative effort between those citizens that have an interest and our developer to make sure that we're doing what they want to get done. At the same time, of course, they have to do it in a manner that will sell. They have to do it in a manner that someone will buy the product, the housing. So it has to be, there's a balance there, of course.
Exactly, and I've been thinking about that a lot as we've been discussing this whole project. There's a lot of balance going on. Kevin, talk for us, if you would, about the challenges of balancing the interests and what the citizens want and what you need to do to be true to Heritage Crossing. There's a lot to weigh.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the key word is just open communication, and that's where we found our success when we first visited with the public again back in January, and we need to maintain that, to hear what people, what people are wanting in the downtown area, and to keep them informed. We do periodic updates. For instance, the council meetings, we have Heritage Crossing updates to keep people informed about what's going on in the downtown area. We are going to have a number of scheduled meetings with the public once we get some plans drawn up for the downtown area to solicit their comments and inputs on it. But I think we've heard from them fairly. I think we've heard what they wanted us to do, and now it's the time for us to move forward and do those.
Let's get to a viewer question. Doug, we'll start with you, and Kevin, of course, chime in here. We're going to have to break this down because she had a lot here, but good questions. This is from Michelle Kali-Norid, who asked on Facebook and began with what she says, an obvious question: who is the developer? And we've kind of talked about and around this, but anything you can add to that?
Sure. We have, I mentioned a minute ago, we have received bids on the one 20-acre tract, which is a number of tracts down by 6th Street in the creek, in the lakes. That developer, those names are public. It's Hines Development is the larger developer. We have also another bidder in that you wouldn't rate. It's an individual's person's name. And then we have, took other bids as well on a commercial building. The city owns the building at 222 East Irving Boulevard. It's a commercial building, previously a car dealership. You might recognize it's a white building there just to the east of downtown. And it's been vacant for a number of years. It was previously a sign building. It was built back in the late 40s or early 50s for a car dealership. And someone mentioned to me the other day what the name of the car dealership it was. It wasn't even recognizable. It wasn't Chevrolet.
Not one we, yeah.
But certainly, I will say a little history there is that Toyota of Irving was an early tenant. And so we're going through a little quick side story, through cleaning the building out, because we've gone in and basically taken all the asbestos out, removed all the old walls, basically stripped it down to a shell building on the inside. And as we're cleaning it all up, we find some brochures on the floor. It's kind of interesting. They were Toyota brochures, car brochures from the 1960s. And so I have that.
Wow.
And you open it up, and it's a brand new brochure, and it shows a 1960
get a bargain.
Car. So it was very interesting. But we did receive 2 bids on that building, and we'll be reviewing those bids with our Plan and Development Committee as we go forward. But it's very encouraging to know that we have people who are interested. They see the value. Matter of fact, it's been said to us by some of these developers, these interested parties, that they see us as an early opportunity to get in on an early Bishop Arts or an early Deep Ellum or an early South Side of Lamar. Some of these kind of places that you see now, you recognize them as being popular, and so they see themselves as getting in on the early stages of that. So I'm encouraged by what they want to do, and so the two bidders we have there, both of them bring special features and special uses to that property. Now, again, just like the residential land, we were leveraging that building. Our bid criteria is set up so that a minor part of it is the actual price they're going to pay for their lease or purchase. The majority of it is, what is your business model look like, and what are you bringing to downtown? And so we're very interested in knowing, what are you going to bring to downtown? Will you have a spillover effect? Will you encourage other businesses? Will you bring visitors to downtown? What's your economic impact of that? So as a part of that, we're actually having, both of the proposals are being studied right now to determine what their economic impact would be to our downtown area. And so that's going to be part of our evaluation process as we move forward. And in a similar time,
decisions not made lightly.
Right, in a similar time frame that we're looking at the residential bid around the creek, we're also reviewing the proposals for the commercial building.
Okay.
Should be coming back this summer
Okay.
with some updates, and we hope to announce something next few months to say here's our new development. So we're very encouraged by the fact that we have these folks interested.
Kevin, let me direct the next part of Michelle's question to you. Do they intend on honoring the ideas behind the original redevelopment plan?
Yes. I mean, everything that we've heard from our residents and citizens, from our business community, that's how we formulated our current engagement that we have with our consultant for moving forward, addressing what they want to do in terms of improving, as I've said before, about the appearance, the functioning, the connectivity through downtown, but still maintaining that character, that identity, and that scale that everyone has come to recognize in the downtown area.
Can you give this fascinates me. I'm wondering if you can give any specifics about how do you maintain the history of an area when you're redeveloping it? What's an example of what you have to think about and what you have to do and not do?
What we found successful is, first of all, identifying which buildings mean the most to the community. There are a number of buildings in the downtown area that have a lot of sentimental value to individuals, and we understand and respect that. There are also other buildings in the downtown area that we probably could do something to maybe bring them more in line with what those other buildings look like. Our goal in the downtown area is not to eliminate, buildings, but actually work with what we have in the fabric. Scott Polakov of Gateway Planning was very, very emphatic about that. He says you have all the tools and all the fabric you need in the downtown area to make it a very successful place. You don't need to tearing down stuff or trying to bring stuff in too quickly. It'll all develop over time.
Okay, let's talk Irving Boulevard. Big plans for Irving Boulevard. Tell us about those and specifically what they are and how they could impact Heritage Crossing.
Okay, they can't exist without each other.
Yeah.
Downtown and Irving Boulevard have to function as a unit. Downtown, to reach downtown, you'd have to reach it from State Highway 183 on the north, Loop 12 on the east, 183 again on the west as it connects, or via the train. The biggest connection piece will be through Irving Boulevard. So we have to address how that appears leading people into the downtown area. So when we consider downtown, we just don't look at the little downtown area. We're actually looking at Irving Boulevard from downtown back to what we call the split on the east end near Nursery.
Okay.
Where at first, that's what we're considering to be the entryway to downtown from the east. And then from the west, once you cross over the Trinity Railroad Bridge coming past City Hall, we consider that to be our gateway, from the west. But the big plans for Irving Boulevard, I can outline those as follows. We're going to make this a boulevard where people can work, have leisure time, have play, have a wonderful experience just walking down the street. To that end, we're working with TxDOT to reduce the number of lanes on Irving Boulevard. Through the downtown area, you currently have 5 lanes. And what we're looking to do is we have to slow down the traffic through Irving Boulevard to give people in the vehicles time to look and see what's around them for shopping and different opportunities. But also to take some lanes out of Irving Boulevard through the downtown to provide additional parking for our activities and all our future businesses that we have down there. But also to make it a walkable environment. A number of stretches along Irving Boulevard. Remember, Irving Boulevard used to be it still is a state highway. But it used to have bar ditches on the side, if you know what that term is. And so there are a lot of areas on Irving Boulevard where we can take that excess land that had a real purpose in the past before buildings built up to it, and turn that into an area where we can have sidewalks, trees, benches, flowers, just what makes it a walkable environment for people, because it's pretty difficult to walk down Irving Boulevard on the eastern end in a number of spots today, just because the sidewalks are not contiguous.
Got about 5 minutes left in the discussion today. So Doug, let's nitty-gritty break it down for us. What will we see next in Heritage Crossing?
Well, the next thing you're going to see, of course, is the residential development we're going to talk about as far as we just visited about that. That's going to be, I think that's going to be a great thing. It's going to be a catalyst. It's going to be a game changer for this area. We also have some other areas even closer to downtown that once this residential is successful there, then you're going to see some more residential just south of downtown near our Heritage Center downtown. And then, of course, the commercial. I'm very excited about of course, the building at 222, because I think that's both of these interested parties are artists. And I can't give too much away, but they're very. It's creative kind of uses, artist kind of uses. So it's something that's. I think will change the nature of how you think of Heritage Crossing.
And add to the personality
and
even more.
Bring that interest into this downtown area.
Sure.
A little bit, if I can follow what Kevin was talking about a minute
Please.
ago, you said something about how we preserve the history. I mean, Griff's is a good example, not in our downtown area, and Kevin doesn't like to brag on himself, but he worked with Griff's. He also works with, if you recall, the bus station at the corner of Nursery and Irving Boulevard. It's now a beautiful building. It was a plain white little painted building. Now it's nice. It's got a rocked finish. It's a beautiful little building now in the corner. Griff's Hamburgers, they tore the building down, but you know what? They kept the sign. So it's kind of it's a trademark kind of a sign there that we encourage them to keep. They did keep it, and so we're working with new and also keeping the old. We're looking at. You see the big state sign. Those are kinds of things we like, and we're gonna. Those are things we work to preserve. Those kinds of features, and so we definitely are listening to the voice of the customer on what that should look like and what we should do downtown.
Selling points for Heritage Crossing. Let me just kind of get into your day in, day out job. What's easy to sell about it, and what are the challenges? And let me direct that at both of you. Let's start with you, Kevin.
Good selling point. We're finding that you find across the area here, across the United States, people are really taking a renewed interest in downtown development, small downtown. Not necessarily that you maybe grew up in one, but it appeals to mostly all groups if you put the right mix together. You can have your existing downtown core, but you can also bring in newer restaurants and activities that maybe didn't exist 20, 30 years ago, but are now mainstream for what we do today. And to be able to seek that balance that really draw people, because they want a different experience and they want something on a smaller scale. And we're looking at a different client. We're a mixture of individuals. We have our existing residents who we work with daily, but you also have a very young population in the country that's looking for something different than what they maybe grew up with. And it has a lot of drawing capacity to it.
Would you add to that?
Yes, opportunity. We have land bank property. I'm asking developers to come forward. We'll take it, and we look forward to working with these developers to build new buildings and refurbish old buildings, create new opportunities in downtown where you can enjoy the things Kevin just mentioned. You can go a lot of places and live in, structured living, uptown, all those kind of places, but very few places in close to the downtown areas, Dallas and Fort Worth, where you can have a hometown feel, small town, almost rural, but the small town feel is right here in the heart of the Metroplex, and so it's a great opportunity.
Are you feeling optimistic for Heritage Crossing right now?
Very much so. I mean, the last little while has been very active and a lot of interest.
If the community is on board with what we're doing and we understand what they're looking to have done, we can definitely make this a success.
And how can people who want to communicate with you, who want to get involved, who want to keep up on the project, how can they do that? Okay.
We have our Heritage Crossing webpage, and we really updated that over the past several months. And I also use, and on that page, we put all the presentations that we do, any reports that the consultant has, any latest breaking news that we have related to the downtown area, and they also have a comment line where people can put their comments in, and it comes directly to an email mailbox that I have access to.
Okay, great. Thank you, gentlemen, both very much for joining us today. Doug Janeway, Chief Development Officer, Kevin Kass, Heritage Crossing Planning Manager. Good luck. Please keep us posted and come back, and we'll share news as it breaks for you. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Thank you for watching. I'm Jolene DeVito. See you next time.